Good afternoon. The meeting of the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors has now come to order. Mr. Bowen, will you give us the invocation, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Let's go to the Father. Lord, again, we thank you for this time that we come together. And, Lord, we thank you for many people here that's probably lost a father or they still have their father. And, Lord, what a blessing to have a godly father. And, Lord, we just ask you to be with us and guide us. And thank you for all the citizens who came here tonight and opened our hearts and minds to receive their message to us. And we ask all these things through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have not gotten that sheet yet.
What sheet?
I have not gotten the sheet for the people who wish to speak.
There we go.
Okay. We'll now have the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we approve the agenda without any amendments. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The chair now will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it. We'll now have delegations from the public. We have two people who have signed up to speak. You'll be given 5 minutes to speak. Mr. Abbott, will you please come forward?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Anzavino. Last month, I must have asked way too many questions because I didn't get a single answer. Now I know questions are answered because the gentleman that followed me asked a question and received an answer from the chair. So I've decided to approach one of my concerns this way by simply asking, why did the former county administrator, Mr. Rourke, hire Sands Anderson? This is what I believe is known. The county had a county attorney, Mr. Preston Williams. There was a rumor, repeat, rumor, that Mr. Rourke was being investigated for an activity solely his issue. The board had not been advised by the county attorney, Preston Williams, that there were actions of a legal nature pending in and around October of 2020. A number of board members learned of the hiring of Sands Anderson in late December of 2020 and early January of 2021. Now, my questions deal with this specific information. Did Mr. Rourke explain why he made this transaction, legal I'm told, to the chair in October or shortly thereafter in 2020? Or did he simply mention it without explanation? Mr. Chair, would you ask the previous chair, Ms. Simmons, to respond?
Ms. Simmons, will you respond?
We hired Sands Anderson, Mr. Abbott, as told before. We've talked about this before.
I appreciate that we have, but my question was, did Mr. Rourke in October of 2020 suggest to you as chair then that he was taking that action?
I knew about it, yes.
Thank you. Because if he did, was there a delay in sharing this information with the remainder of the board?
No, there wasn't a delay.
Thank you. Questions generally dealing with the term county attorney Does Sands Anderson represent the county or just the 5 board members and the county administrator?
They represent Sands Anderson represents the county and the Board of Supervisors.
If this is accurate, I forget that. I thank you for your responses. I appreciate it and hope that we can have just that bit of transparency additionally in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Mr. Garber?
This is the first opportunity I've had to come up here in quite a while. But back a couple months ago, I saw an article in the Courier. Mr. Prosize said $11,000 in landfill fees had been forgiven. So I called Mr. Prosize and said, when was the vote taken on this? Mr. Prosize informed me there was no vote taken. He did a phone poll. And everyone was in agreement, so they did it. Now, phone polls are illegal. You all would have been perfectly well within your rights to have a holiday on landfill tipping fees. But you need to have it in here, a vote. Not this backdoor, behind the scenes crap. It gets old, people. Either Mr. Prosize is incorrect, but he told me he did a phone poll. He said, well, we were in the middle of an ice storm, a lot of power outages, and you know, I couldn't get everyone, so we just did a phone poll. When you all found it to bill me $1.26, it took 2 months to get that bill to me. You all would have had plenty of time to have a regular meeting and vote on it. You people know better. Mr. Vaughn, you've been on this board for 40 years. You know better. Mr. Bowen, you keep doing illegal things, you're going to need a lawyer. Phone polls are illegal. It's called secret meetings. I think a crime was committed, $11,000 in county money was just, boom, gone, without a vote by this board. You people are a piece of work. You need to get your act together. I don't have much faith in law enforcement because they don't seem to think it's an issue, but I do. I know that if $11,000 disappeared from your day job, it would be an issue. This is county money. I've had a dozen people approach me and say, oh, I was billed under $2 by the landfill. And yet you people found it in your heart to forgive $11,000. Who got that money? Tell me, who got that money? Was it your buddies? Who was this? I'd like to know. I'd like an answer.
Mr. Garber, what happened was, if I'm not mistaken, we waived the fees during the storm, and people could bring trash and debris, particularly the trees and stuff like that, to the landfill, and that's what he was talking about.
Was there a vote taken by this board to forgive that?
It was a voice vote.
A voice vote on a phone?
There was, we did a phone call, but the board members came to the meeting. They came to the emergency shelter, and we talked about it to each one of them. If not, we didn't have a meeting. We didn't have a board meeting. No, we did not.
You just said it was a voice vote. There had to be a meeting. Am I incorrect? A voice vote implies a meeting.
If the person were not there at that particular time, I talked to John, I talked to Lynn, I talked to all of them about it and said, will it be okay if we waive the fee for all of the debris? And that's what happened.
This is what you said. You didn't say it. John Prosize said it.
Yes.
He said, Steve, we are under a state of emergency,
Yes.
and people are suffering. and they don't have money because they lost food, is it okay, would you be okay if we waive and we talk about it at the next meeting? And I said, I don't have a problem with it at all, because we were under a state of emergency at that time.
Was it talked about at the next meeting?
I can't remember, I don't know. I don't remember.
According to Mr. Prosize, there was never a vote by this board. That's what concerns me. This board should be voting. I get so sick of secret meetings and things done behind closed doors and in the dark and voice votes. Let's do it right out front. Let everybody see it.
That's good. That's a good idea. So let me ask you something, because last time you were here, you said you were ashamed of the county. Did you owe $1.26?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Pay it. I pay my taxes, you pay your taxes. Did you owe $1.26? I don't care if it's $2. Did you owe it?
Mr. Bowen.
You disrespected everybody
Pay
that
it.
did not get their
Pay it,
landfill
Mr.
tipping
Garber.
fees.
Pay your taxes just like everybody else in this
I do.
county. Okay,
But
thank you.
if you're gonna
Robert,
forgive
Pay it.
tipping fees,
Your time
Pay
is
it.
up.
you're gonna cut some people a break on their taxes too?
Pay it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. That's the end of the
If it's $2 or $3.
delegations from the public.
Excuse me, sometimes you ask, sometimes you don't, whether there's anybody else that would like to speak. Are you going to follow that format tonight, like you did last month, or are we going to change it?
I plan to.
Excuse me, sir?
I said I plan to.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what she said. Could she get up to the microphone? I didn't hear what she said.
She
Mr.
was
Bowen.
asking if, at the last meeting, Mr. Bowen,
Okay.
at the end of the people who had signed up for it, I asked if anyone else wanted to speak,
Okay, I got you.
and that's what she was asking.
Yeah, and we need to
One
make
else.
sure people, I'm getting complaints that they can't hear when it's taped. And so when people just bark out in the audience, we need to get them up at that little microphone now and let them say their piece before they just speak out in the audience,
Yeah.
Mr.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Ms. Yates, do you want to speak? Please try to sign up the next time.
I didn't plan on speaking tonight until I heard Mr. Abbott speak. And maybe now, Steve, you will understand how we feel when we're in the audience and you guys are paid by our county to speak to us and we can't hear you. How shameful of you tonight to chastise this man for speaking out. You're rude. I want to follow up with Mr. Abbott's question about, apparently, now we find out 6 months, 7, 8 months later, that Helen Simmons knew all about the hiring of Sans Anderson. Yet we've all been told, meeting after meeting, that you guys didn't find out till February. So are you all lying to us? Or are we being told the truth? And I agree with this man. All these secret meetings, Helen, you sat there for months acknowledging the fact that you knew when Ronnie Work was going to step down. And you know what? You wouldn't even share it with your colleagues. Shame on you.
Miss Yates.
Ms. Yates.
Okay, Steve, you just
Put a
said,
time on it, Miss,
well, I
should be
haven't
a
gone
time
over
on
it.
it. Yes, okay.
You just stated that there were, Steve, that there were things done, that this vote that wasn't properly taken, that was addressed tonight, was done that way because you were under a state of emergency. I wonder if you're as upset about the fact that 2 people died during that ice storm. And I'm left to wonder if they died of exposure. Elderly people, 2 elderly people died of exposure. Has that been your concern? Because it happened in this county. Okay?
You asked a question, so you asked me the question. Was it a concern that 2 people die of an exposure? What kind of question is that?
Well,
What
you
in
know
the
what?
world?
You people were
in the world?
unprepared for this emergency.
Mr. Bowen.
I'm
please
sorry,
don't
John,
comment
you're
anymore.
shaking
All right.
your head yes, and I would expect support from you. You, every single one of you board members up there, with the exception of John, were ill-prepared for this ice storm. You did nothing. I've been coming for 2 years now to these meetings and have heard citizen after citizen plead to have the emergency services subject matter taken care of. Steve, you took your classes. Helen refused to take her classes. John, he took his classes. Sherman, you've been here 26 years. You've never taken a class. And pardon me, Mrs. Shackleton, I don't know if you've taken a class. I would like to have you. Oh, you'll answer. Have you taken a class in emergency management?
No, I have not.
Okay. So I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. Anyway, I guess that's what I have to say tonight, off the cuff.
Mr. Chairman.
Go right on.
Okay. Just for the record, about the $11,000, I was told that the formal vote was going to be at the next meeting. And when it was brought to my attention, it was said that the board had been polled and he had enough votes to move forward.
It's true.
So at that point, I did not give a vote, and it was a moot point. All I asked was proper procedures done, and I was told yes.
Okay. That's the end of that. Okay, we're gonna move on. Public hearing.
No, you have a presentation from Ms. Dyson.
Oh, Ms. Dyson.
Good evening.
Good
evening.
Good evening.
Of course, my name is Wanda Dyson,
Sure.
and on behalf of the Farmville Alumni
You're
Chapter
exactly right.
of
I
Delta
screwed up.
Sigma
I
Theta
apologize.
Sorority Incorporated, we extend our support and assistance to the citizens of Nottaway County. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is a private nonprofit organization whose purpose is to provide assistance and support through established programs in local communities such as Nottaway County throughout the world. We are an organization of college-educated women who provide an extensive array of public service initiatives through our 5-point thrust.
So essentially, our 5-point programmatic thrusts are educational development, economic development, physical and mental health, political awareness and involvement, and international awareness and involvement. So those are our main focuses as we assist with communities. And then in terms of examples for educational development, for instance, we have a few programs that support both females and males, so like the Delta Academy or Delta Gyms, and they do some mentoring, they do tutoring, they do introduction to community service to give back for the kids. As far as our physical and mental health, it's part of it is just trying to get the community involved in learning about themselves and having more stable mental health. For example, we did DST Healthy You last weekend, and we did a FaceTime Live or Facebook Live presentation where there were people from the community doing physical calisthenics and stuff, and then we had a Zoom panel of certified exercise professional as well as a licensed mental health professional answer questions and talk to people about what mental health and physical health would look like for them.
And in reference to the economic development program, we talked about some financial awareness, whereas we would present a seminar on how to establish credit, maintain good credit, buying homes, helping people to find jobs and keep jobs. So those are some of the seminars that we talked about planning for the county of Nottaway. Also, in the political awareness arena, let's go back to physical and mental health. We talked about COVID-19 and how we could possibly be involved getting more people registered and getting their vaccinations for COVID. So we're on board with that, and we're looking forward to some of those programs. Political awareness and involvement. We talked about being more involved with polling, voting, getting with the Greenville Community Cemetery Project, helping assist wherever they need us, anything that we possibly can. I'm also a member of the NAACP, so we'll be partnering with them as well. Some of our members have already volunteered for the Juneteenth program, and we're really excited about that. So we have several of our sorority sisters that will be volunteering for that program.
And then last but not least, we do have national awareness involvement because we also have chapters in, Bahamas, Jamaica, and other countries. So, of course, feel free to travel, but no. But yeah, we do have, we assist our other chapters in any type of community involvement that they have.
So as we get more involved with international awareness, we'll be asking members and citizens of Nottaway County to help us get more involved with them as well and see what we can do internationally. So we're looking forward to that.
We don't want to hold up your time. We know that you guys are pretty busy, but just wanted to kind of give you guys an opportunity to hear what we have to offer and hear about the fact that we would like to help and assist in the community.
And we have some contact information, if we can, I can get that to you later. We'd like to thank John Avencino.
It's close.
I had the pleasure of meeting him, such very approachable, really nice guy. We're looking forward to working with the citizens of Nottaway County. Thank you so very much, and that's all we have for now.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones.
Public hearing.
Are you on? Yep.
I'm supposed to be on.
Yep, you're on.
Mr. Jones, would you come forward, please?
Mr. Vaughn, you might want to introduce the public hearing first.
We're not, he's just going to introduce the
Okay, I got you.
application first.
Okay. We'll close the delegation. Now we're into public hearing.
No, you want to, before you open the public hearing, you want to make sure that he gives a presentation on what he's going to do. And then you open the public hearing for comment.
Okay. I'll do that after he finishes. Go right on with your presentation.
Okay, so I kind of need to know a little bit what y'all want to know from me. Is it same as last at the Planning Commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm T.R. Jones. I'm a dairy farmer out on 460 right at the edge of the county. And dairy farming is tough, and so we're trying to figure out ways to keep getting by. And so I've been fortunate on a little app called TikTok to garner a pretty big following, and came with the idea to basically host a 3-day music comedy festival. The idea is to sell right around 4,000-ish weekend tickets in addition to maybe 3,000 day tickets. So at max having around 7,000 people if we can get them. Require a great deal of marketing, and basically just get people together to have a good time, enjoy some music, and have some laughs. Having said that, we do have, trying to check all our boxes. We have police staffing in line, emergency services in line, parking, volunteers, vendors, trying to use as much local services as we can. We're right on the Nottaway Dinwiddie line, so we're kind of using some Dinwiddie services, and have spoken with several departments in Nottaway about services we can use on this side. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. A lot of questions I've gotten have been about what time of day will music festivities start? Probably sometime around noon. Last performer tentatively scheduled to go on around 10, for about a 45 to hour long performance. So things should be winding down by 11 o'clock at night. Going to have security patrolling at nighttime to keep people headed where they're supposed to be. That's kind of the gist of it. Is there anything else y'all want to know from me specifically?
Well, we have to have a public hearing on it, and I'm getting ready to open up the public hearing now. Is there anyone here to speak for this request, especially for this?
I'd like to do it.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against this request? I don't see any hands. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Now I need a vote from my fellow supervisors.
No, thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would note that this was heard at the Planning Commission on Tuesday night at
Yes,
a
sir.
public hearing. Planning Commission advanced a recommendation unanimously to support and approve the special exception permit for Mr. Jones, as described at the public hearing and the presentation at the Planning Commission, which was almost identical to what he presented this evening.
It's in your district. Yes, I believe.
Yes, I'm wishing you great success with the event. You previously answered some questions from an adjoining landowner. I spoke with him today, and he felt like you had adequately answered his questions. He wishes you success. His major concern as an adjoining landowner was trespassing, but overall, he's hoping it will be a successful event for you.
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the special exception permit.
Second.
Steve seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the special exception permit. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, and then we'll now have department reports.
Y'all have a good time.
We're gonna go tuck the little fella in bed.
You know, you didn't bring ice cream this time, Mr. So,
You'll have to come get some.
it's some of the best, I can tell you that. It's real good. Okay, is Brian here? Oh, let's see. You changed places on me.
Good evening.
Good
evening.
With Branzinga. Try to pronounce that anyway. In addition to the report that's in your packets, I'm gonna go over a few more items for the good of the group that's here, and review some of the projects that are ongoing in Nottaway County and under development. The Route 618 bridge, they completed the drilled shafts on that bridge, and they have started working on one of the abutments. So that project's just a little bit behind, but I think we're gonna be, I think we're still gonna be good weather permitting, so. The roundabout at Fort Pickett, at Route 750 and Route 40, that was one of your smart scale projects that y'all applied for and got 100% funding. That project has been accelerated and it's currently under development. We've had quite a few meetings on that before, recently, so hopefully that's going to be done a lot earlier than initially planned. Also, you applied for smart scale funding for the hybrid R-cut at 723 and 460, and that one also is probably going to be accelerated to a certain degree. So that's good news for both of those projects, and I'll try to update you each month on the development and how they're going. Route 610 and Melody Lane safety study, those are still ongoing. What we initially did with those is we did a residency study, and then it was forwarded to the district, and the district is handling 14 county studies, so they're a little bit behind on those, but hopefully we'll get something here soon. We are finished with the debris cleanup in Nottaway County, so we've had some citizens call about debris that was not picked up, and when we go out there to look, it's actually debris that's fallen out of the trees, but it's on private property, so we can't pick that up. In this past month, we've done a lot of sweeping at some of the primary intersections, remove sand from the winter and loose stone. Our secondary mowing is still ongoing, and they'll pick back up again on Monday. They're not going to be mowing tomorrow or over the weekend. Our primary mowing is complete. So if anybody sees any issues or anything, I think you all know how to contact me, let me know. If citizens have any issues, they can call the 1-800-367-ROAD, and you know, I've said it before, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that it's there. It's a good system. It's a, you call up there, they take your complaint or your concern or whatever it is, they assign you a work order number or service request number, and you can follow the status of that. You can call and check on it, and then we have a record of it at all times. So it's a really good system that's been put in place. So it's available for everyone. If you need some more information on that, I'd be glad to provide that to you. You will see too on the mowing, we do support the pollinator program, so especially on the primaries where there are wide medians, we don't mow the center of the median for that reason. So if you get questioned on that, that's the reason. And that is all of the additional updates that I have for you. You all have any comments, questions, concerns, or anything that I can help with?
No questions?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Okay, solid waste.
That's
seeing
included
here.
that's included in your package.
Building inspections, this is included in the package. Animal control report.
Included in your package.
The library board of trustees.
It's included in your package.
The Nottaway County Health Department.
We've not received their report yet.
Right, and the planning commission. You spoke on that a few minutes ago.
Mr. Chairman, the planning commission did meet on Tuesday evening. They had the public hearing for the festival, music festival, and also they're reactivating their solar study committee,
Right.
which is I know a significant issue for the county. So we've already reached out to the chairman of the planning commission with the committee members, and we'll be getting together soon to meet with Advantis.
Okay, we're now down to the constitutional officers. I don't see Mrs. Brown. Sheriff? Okay. Ms. Maya, I don't see her. Ms. Hudson, I don't see her. And Ms. Waltress, I saw her earlier. Oh, there you go. In that report? Thank you. Unfinished business. The Tillman cell tower request. In one. Go right on, Mr.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, you have included in your packet an update in conjunction with the special exception permit for the Tillman, what we call the Tillman Tower. We did receive at about 2 o'clock this afternoon an additional letter from Donahue and Stearns, which has been handed out to the board. I have also included in your board packet a copy of the zoning ordinance pertaining to special exceptions, and so you could determine if the conditions of the special exception permit were being met, which they appear to be. I would also note that it lays out several goals, that section of the zoning ordinance, for you to consider as you make a decision in conjunction with the special exception permit. So you have all the information that we have. This has been discussed since January of this year, and the board hopefully will have an opportunity to take some action this evening. There are motions in your package for approval, denial, or creation of your own motion.
Okay. What's your pleasure? John, it's in your district.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I received a letter that Mr. Anzavino was talking about, and there were some concerns about this, so I will just, I'm sorry, let me find this here, right there. Here we go. At this point, after reviewing the Planning Commission's recommendations and the applicant's submission for a special exemption permit filed under Section 2-1-4-11 of the Nottaway County zoning ordinance on December 20th, 2020, and hearing comments at the board's public hearing held on January 21st, 2021, questioning the applicant and hearing the applicant's response, He moves to approve the special exception permit for Tillman Infrastructure LLC for construction and operation of a communications tower on property located off of McCune Road in Blendon District as described in the previous filed special exemption permit application. I'd like to put that in the motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Tillman request, a special exception for that. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Is there any discussion among the board members?
Yeah, discussion. When I
Not-
say
not unless the board members
question,
have any
that's
other
when when I say question, that's when you can discuss.
Good.
Okay.
The only thing
Okay.
that I would add to that, Mr. Chairman, is the rescue squad is here tonight. They have recently, as of June 1st, began to use FirstNet with their billing and roll calls as well. And they wanted to go to telemedicine. Telemedicine is something that essentially, if I understand this right, and of course they are here, and Mr. Fallon is more than willing to speak on this as well, to make sure that I get it correct. But it essentially can visually put a doctor in the back of an ambulance. And that essentially alone is worth and at this point, understand what I'm saying. No disrespect to the attorneys here. I removed the two attorneys from this conversation, and I'm basing it specifically on an upgrade for emergency services and possibly saving the life of one of our citizens. So that would be my only discussion, if there's any questions there here.
Okay, when I call for question, that's it. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
Ayes have it. Okay, rebranding contract. John.
Mr. Chairman, you have in your packet another memorandum discussing the process for selecting a firm to redevelop the county's website and include the new slogan for the county. You've been meeting on this in September of last year, and you met and interviewed two firms on May the 27th, the two top firms which the board had selected. At that meeting, which the board took no action at, it was agreed that this would be brought forward to your June 17th meeting for action. So included in your package are motions for approval for either firm or restarting the process.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that in accordance with the county's publicly advertised request for proposals issued in January 2021, seeking services to develop and maintain a new county website and rebrand the county's current theme as noted in the RFP, I move to authorize the county administrator to enter into a contract with Revise of Troy, Michigan, in accordance with their firm's response to the county's request for proposals at an annual fee of $3,900 for 5 years, which includes website redevelopment, maintenance, and rebranding in the county's current theme.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we award the contract to Revise for the rebranding. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We have a revenue sharing performance agreement. Mr. Van Arbeck, could you come forward, please?
Go right ahead,
I
Bill.
appreciate that.
All right.
As you know, the town of Blackstone is in the process of completing necessary documentation and paperwork required to do several things in order to enhance the ViewMac construction project. One of those items that we have before you tonight is a Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission application. It was originally submitted in 2020, but the project did not move forward due to COVID, At this point, the town council is confident enough that this application and the Tobacco Commission agrees that the application will warrant, unfortunately, just $44,000 of loan and $44,500 of grant. And the grant, or the loan being at 5 years at 0%. Blackstone Hotel Partners will be required to create at least 25 new jobs at an annual salary averaging $37,000 and invest at least $11,464,825 in the town over a 3-year period. We believe that investment number is under-reflective, and we think that the number will actually be significantly higher than that. What we have before you tonight, and this is a little different for me. I've done several tobacco grants. I've never done a revenue sharing requirement, and so it's a little different. The town is not asking you to do this. The Tobacco Commission is requiring this to be done, and maybe you guys have done one of these before. The grant portion, not the loan is the responsibility of the property owner to repay. The grant portion, they call it a grant, but the revenue sharing is to pay back the grant and 5% on top of that. So the $44,500 grant that would be given to these developers from the Tobacco Commission through the town would be paid back through 5% of your annual collections of specific taxes that are listed in the agreements. Primarily real estate taxes, personal property taxes, BPOL, business professional occupational licensing, and I think their machinery and tools is another identified way to pay it back. So both parties would pay back 5% of the collections, new collections, and I think it gives a year. It's in the first collection year after completion of the project, so I think this will be a year or two down the road still. And then each party, the town and the county, each pay 5% back of their collection until 105% of $44,500 is paid. I really didn't know the county was going to get drawn into this, I must admit, but the Tobacco Commission does require the county to be involved, and we ask for your consideration. I will point out to you, and I will read very quickly one item, and if Mr. Ryan Rourke were here, I know what he would be asking is, who got to pay this back if everything goes south? And what I will commit to you is exactly in this performance agreement. It says, subject to receipt of any necessary appropriations, the town shall be responsible for the repayment of any sums payable by the company herein, regardless of whether sums have been received by the town from the company. So the county's not on the hook for this. The only hook I think that you guys have is 5% of the increased collections, not on your existing, but it would be on the delta, the difference between the existing and the new. And we believe there's, that project's likely to be more like $13 million. Based on the figures we have. Just so you know, the town of Blackstone is also completing documentation for a revenue anticipation note for $600,000 in order to assist with the water, sewer, electric, and storm sewer improvements on the property, which will ultimately be dedicated back to the town. Citizens Bank, we will bring the document forward for approval on Monday night to the town council. So the town council is confident enough that this project is moving forward that we're going to the bank and borrowing money to build new sewer lines for the project and water lines and new electric lines. 109 room hotel. It's a boutique hotel. The zoning is complete and construction is underway.
Okay.
Demolition is underway, I should say.
Any questions for Ms. on that?
Philip, when you talk about the 11 million investment in the town, in what form, what type of investments were into this?
They have a definition here about capital cost, and it's either physical improvements or it's rolling stock, vehicles or something like that. That could be included in rolling stock as well.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for asking. We've reviewed the documents, have talked to Philip about it. This is another good project. It's a good project for Blackstone as well as for Nottaway County because our values increase as well. And we'll receive some additional money, not as much as they will from the standpoint of business license and those types. And
we will also be able to collect lodging taxes where you would not.
Right. But it is good for the town, it is good for the county, and it supports the development which is occurring out at Fort Pickett. And that is something I think you're going to see a great deal more of. So with that thought, we have included 3 motions for your consideration. 1 approving after Mr. Van Orbeek's presentation, 1 denying, and 1 creating your own motion. So we would suggest that the board strongly consider approving the revenue sharing agreement and the county participating.
Okay, Lynn, can I get you to?
Yes. After hearing the presentation from Blackstone's town manager, Philip Van Orbeek, concerning the Blackstone Hotel Partners and the award of a trough grant to support the reference project, I move that the Board of Supervisors authorize review of the agreement by the county attorney and that the interim town manager be authorized to execute the agreements upon recommendation by the county attorney.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the performance agreement, the revenue sharing performance agreement. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Anzavino, if you will.
Yes, sir. Next item on the board's agenda is consideration of adoption of the Interim County Administrator's Reorganization Compensation Program for fiscal year 22. We met in work session on June the 3rd and I outlined what we had found, what we had proposed, and what the outcomes might be for the county. The board at that time asked a few questions, but asked that I prepare a series of motions for implementation in sequential order of how it would work. Before I do that, I want to note to the board that we've taken a real deep look at your human resources systems here in the county. I've been here now 6 weeks, and I've had an opportunity to meet with your staff, to observe their work, to look at previous studies that have been done which have not been implemented, and from that we have forged the recommendations included in your board package for this evening. I would note that the board did have a classification and compensation study done in 2018. That was a study which was never presented to the board or adopted, and so it was I guess a framework for future action. I would also note that we've looked at the budget recommendations from your former interim county administrator, John Procyse, which the board agreed to a 5% increase for employees beginning July 1st, but there were some additional recommendations within that report and his recommendation, which the board set aside, although you did set aside the funds for July 1st. We've also looked at compensation schedules. You know, it's good for an employee to have an understanding of where they start in the salary range and where they can end up in the salary range. And you have not adopted those. What we did, because we need to have a framework to begin with here in Nottaway County, as you do in any county, we took the compensation schedule, which was included in that in that 2018 study, and working with staff, and the staff did most of the work, I'll say that, because I'm not an Excel guy. The staff updated that schedule using increases on an annual basis, a fiscal year basis, of what the counties across the board increases have been, and we advanced that scale to 2021, 2022 standards, and it included about four increases over that period. I also looked at organizational changes. You know, how does the staff currently work? What are they doing? What are their job titles? And are those effective? And are they accurate? And we found that probably a couple of your job titles are not, because when I sat down and asked the employee, I said, do you do that? And they said, well, no. And so we need to do some additional work on that in the future with a real classification and compensation study. But what I am recommending to the board this evening is, first of all, conversion of the finance director's position to assistant county administrator level. I've had an opportunity to observe the finance director, interact with the finance director, and learn that she is a very solid professional. She, I think, would be one of the first folks to admit that she has some room to grow, as we all do. But she has the ability, she has the desire to step into that position. We've also recommended that our payroll coordinator's job title be retitled to Human Resources Coordinator. That does not include an additional significant pay increase, but it more accurately depicts what that position is all about and the capabilities of that individual who is instrumental in your employee benefits RFP process in helping select a new employee benefits consulting firm for the county. She's also been working with me on hires through and learning about the process of human resources. We're also recommending to the board that you authorize the development of a Planning Economic Development Director's position for the county. I can tell you I'm wearing both hats as well as the county administrator's hat right now and several others. And there is activity here in the county. There is hope in the county. There is a lot of opportunity here in the county for economic development, and there's a lot of planning work that needs to go on. The solar project that, the solar ordinance redevelopment, the comprehensive plan update, all of those things are important and on the planning side, along with the day-to-day activities. But economic development, I think, is a place that the county can really shine in. We are working with one firm right now who contacted us who, if it works out, would be a very good firm to locate in the county and create some high-quality jobs with good income and would be a very stable business. We've also looked at your part-time salaries. I don't think it was considered that on January 1st of 2022 when Mr. Procise provided this recommendation. You may have been unaware that the minimum wage goes up to $11 per hour on January 1st of next year, and you had salaries slated for increase to $10.50, so those have been increased as well. Finally, we looked at the certified building and code official and slotted him into a pay grade. I would note that that title is a little bit of a misnomer because not only is he a certified building and code official, he also is your biosolid administrator monitor, as well as the county's erosion sediment control officer, combined administrator, and certified administrator for that program, which all requires training and education. We looked also at what the estimated fiscal impacts would be for the county, and working with Mr. Prosice's budget, I'm pleased to say that what we were able to accomplish within what you've already approved, that is the 5% increase, there's no additional impact on the county for any of these changes. And we have taken it one step further, noting that we had a little bit of money left over in there between what I was recommending and what the board had set aside. So we took that, it was about $7,000, not a lot of money, but we had, I believe, 12 employees who earned less than $42,000 annually in pay. And we devised a formula using years of service to divide the total years of service into the $7,000 and allocate $121 per year of service to each of the employees being paid less than $42,000. And they will, of course, still receive a 5% increase. But I would note that the median household income in Nottaway County, according to U.S. Census Bureau Quick Facts in 2019, was $45,000. So we're moving them up to that, but we're not close yet. Finally, we developed an organizational chart because there's no organizational, we weren't able to find, Katie and I talked about this, an organizational chart that had been updated or really was accepted. And so we've developed an organizational chart outlining who falls under, who's under which area, and we ended up included in your board packet tonight under attachment 5 with a really nice picture, which is a nice organizational chart with nice colors. But you want to really get no more than 6 folks, 5 to 7 folks really, reporting to any one individual, a span of control. currently it's the county administrator who seems to get everybody reporting to him or her. And so the organizational chart and the changes that I've outlined give the county administrator 6 direct reports, and it gives the assistant county administrator 6 direct reports as well within the programs outlined in that table. So with that, we are recommending that those changes be adopted. And I would also say, and I want this to be on the record, this is not the end of getting things to a level in Nottaway County where they should be from a human resources program standpoint. You really need to do a full-blown, real classification and compensation study in your next budget year. Or if you have funds, maybe begin it at the end of this year. You need to work closely with your new county administrator, who will soon be hired, to determine if my suggestions still work for that person, or if they would like to make some minor adjustments to it. You need to update the county's personnel policies. Those are the guidelines and the roadmap for employees and what they expect from the county and what's expected of them, and also spells out a good deal of what their benefits are. And then finally, you need to develop an employee performance evaluation system. And I know both the personnel policies, the performance evaluation system were being discussed by the board, and they're in various stages of completion, but they need to be completed. We're working with a 1998 policy right now, and there's been a lot of changes since 1998. There's a lot of changes every year. So on page 54 of your packet, we've included 4 series of motions. Motion 1 recommends adoption of the updated compensation schedule as included in the packet. That's to get you on the table. Motion 2 is to accept the organizational changes which I've recommended, and they're listed in the memorandum and as I've discussed this evening. Motion 3 is to accept the personnel and salary allocations which are included as attachment 4, which I've just outlined. And then motion 4 is to adopt the proposed organizational chart as, which is included as attachment number 5. So that concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, the chair is now open for you all to discuss before we take a vote on it.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I got to say is John Enzavino, you're a wonderful dude. I mean, you're awesome. And on the organizational chart, I love the fact that the Nottaway County citizens were put first on that organizational chart.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, we've been talking about this thing for a long time. Let's go ahead and make some movement here.
Do you all want to make one motion to include the 4 recommendations of the attachment, or do you want 4 different motions?
4 different motions, and you got to have one motion.
Okay, we'll do number 1. John, will you read number 1?
Sir. Our recommendation is, and this is paraphrasing what a board member might say, after careful analysis of information provided by the interim county administrator, I move to adopt the updated compensation schedule with an effective date of July 1st, 2021, identified as attachment number 3 in the interim county administrator's June 10th, 2021 memorandum received by the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
The first one is the compensation.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the compensation schedule. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed. Number 2.
Mr. Chairman, again, paraphrasing what a board member might say, and not being a board member, this is a motion to accept the organizational changes outlined in the interim county administrator's June 10th, 2021 memorandum to the Board of Supervisors, and 1, advance the county's current finance director to the position of assistant county administrator, leaving the finance director's position vacant. 2, retitling the payroll coordinator's position to human resources coordinator, and 3, creating the position of planning and economic development director.
Okay. These are 3 positions.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve these positions. I think there are 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Number 3.
Mr. Chairman, we would recommend that the board accept the personnel and salary allocation assignments for county personnel as identified in attachment 4 in the county administrator's June 10th, 2021 memorandum to the Board of Supervisors.
Move to
This one
approve.
deals with the salary allocation.
Move to approve.
Second.
To approve. Do I get a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the salary allocation. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed? Okay, number 4.
Sir, the last one is to recommend to the board that you adopt the proposed organizational chart identified as attachment 5 as presented in the county administrator's June 10th, 2021 memorandum to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, organizational chart.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the organizational chart. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I say one more thing?
please.
I just want to thank the board for your confidence and expressing your support of the staff here in Nottaway County. Very solid group of people, as I've said many times. They do a good job, and this will go a long way to moving the county towards your future goal of being in the 21st century.
Thank you. I think the staff knows that we know that it's a very qualified staff, and our board appreciates them. Ms. Katie, if you will do the American Rescue Plan.
There's nothing really to update other than I think I'm gonna clarify one thing. I think I said that we had through 2024 to spend those funds. We have to have them obligated by 2024.
Obligated.
Not until 2026 to spend. That kind of opens things up a little bit. I do want to say the submission request has been placed, was not without issues. We had some issues with some pertinent information that a former employee kind of dropped the ball on, but we've got it taken care of.
Okay.
Also, I did get notification today that the federal request for public assistance has been approved from FEMA. So there's a few more steps before we see any funds, any recovery, but that's a good sign.
And that's for the ice storm, right?
Yes, correct.
We're now down to new business. Mr. Anzavino, will you introduce the new?
Yes, sir. In accordance with the board's directive to allow the county administrator to hire line staff, we were in the middle of a selection process for new animal control officer. And this evening we have both Sheila Estes, our senior animal control officer, and Grace Seymour, our new animal control officer, here to be introduced, for Grace to be introduced to the board. Grace was selected from one of 9 candidates. We interviewed 3. Sheila and myself interviewed 3 candidates. She's undergone an extensive reference and background check, and she brings a significant amount of experience to the county. Many of you may know Grace, but she's had a long career at Nottaway Correctional Center and advanced through the ranks to be a shift commander in the evening. She also is big on volunteering here in the community. She volunteers with her church at Ward's Chapel. She also volunteers with Virginia Alms House, aiding the elderly, and she, maybe most importantly for this position, volunteers transporting animals with Nottaway Allies for Paws. She'll be responsible for working with the public as you would expect in a public position, responding to all animal control-based complaints and ensuring that the county's animal control ordinances are properly enforced. She was sworn in on Monday, June the 14th, and immediately started her field training, which will be supplemented with state-required training in future months. So I'd like to ask both Sheila and Grace to come up so you can meet her.
Are you tired, by the way? Because you've been doing a hell of a lot of work, and it has not gone unnoticed, and I want to personally thank you.
Any questions that you all would like to ask them?
No, just welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Do you live in the Jennings ordinary area?
I live in Florida.
You do? Okay. West Chapel is what made me think of that. Yeah. Thank you so much. And welcome to the county. Okay. Ms. Tomer, will you give us the fiscal year, the budget appropriation? We need a motion on that at the end of this.
Yeah, there's a procedure as far as appropriating the budget we adopted on April 29th, $39,996,306. Now, I do want to say, which we're going to have to tackle some issues probably after the first of the year with some salary adjustments. The State Board of Elections, after our budget was adopted, increased the salary for both the general registrars as well as the electoral board members. The Compensation Board approved a new position, funded a new position for the circuit court clerk. So these types of things we're going to be facing after the first of the year. So we need to make a motion to appropriate the budget pending all federal and state monies as well as the outstanding purchase orders and obligated funds. And I'll provide that list to you when it's complete after we close the year next month.
Okay. We need a motion to adopt so we can spend the money that's in the budget.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appropriate the budget as stated by Mr. Tomer.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Oh, it's been moved and seconded that we do the budget appropriation. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Ms. Tomer, will you also do the county liability insurance?
I meant to lay this out for you all. I apologize. And I'm probably going to defer a little to Mr. Angelino to help me with this.
Thank you.
You have to do that yourself.
Thank you.
No, I don't. Thank you.
And all that is, it was an attempt at trying to provide the information in a little better format, because those proposals can get a little wordy. We've been with Versa for years, and that's an understatement. Before Mr. Forsyth left, he decided to reach out to other carriers to try to see where the competition was. So that's
The
how we
sheriff
got
gonna
here.
do his presentation on dispatches.
Very valuable to do so.
Two young, he'll introduce them, but he has his two young ladies. I note to the board that there are some significant savings with VACORP. And, John Procyse seeking the quote was a big first step in getting this accomplished. We received the proposals, and when I saw the VACORP proposal, we met with the representative last week. I was kind of shocked because the bottom line is it's about a $65,000 annual savings for the county for the same level of insurance coverage. And Katie has checked and double checked because the figures really seem to be too good to be true, but they are. And I will tell you that with Versa, I was on the board originally when they were founded because insurance companies were going out of business in the Commonwealth and leaving local governments uncovered. But VACORP came along as a competitor. It's a county-based organization. They both have municipalities, school boards, counties, and cities, and they cross over. But given what we've seen in the proposal, the two proposals, the analysis which Katie has completed, it's Katie's recommendation, and I would support that completely, that the board adopt a motion this evening to change coverage to VACORP.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, VACO has been asking us to look at VACORP for many years. They put a big map up there to show that Nottaway wasn't one of they weren't joining it. And so I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to adopt to change insurance company with Vacor.
I will second that.
Okay. Being the former president, I guess you would.
They've gotten on me and gotten on me about that thing. And it's a savings there.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the VACO to do our liability insurance. Question.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, are we sacrificing any level of coverage with this? It's all comparable?
The only thing we are doing is we're increasing the deductible a little bit. We were down at like $250 for a deductible, which is not recommended in the insurance business for a large industry today. And we are a large industry, so we've raised that up, and that's saved us some money.
Okay.
I skipped over something I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry. Speaking about the American Rescue Plan funds, the school system, they're getting an allocation as well as the county. The governor's budget, when it was finalized, had an impact on the school budget as well. There are almost $3 million worth of budget adjustments that will need to be considered, and because of that amount, we need to hold a public hearing on them. So I would like y'all to take action to authorize us to advertise that public hearing for the July meeting.
I'll make that motion when you finish with the motion you got on the floor.
You want to add on to hers?
No, I just make it a separate motion.
Let me carry this motion first. I'll carry your motion, and then I'll deal with you, John. It's been moved and seconded. Question? Any more? Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed? The ayes have it. John, your motion.
Yes, sir. I move to allow the county office to advertise for a public hearing for the American Rescue Act budget adjustments.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we do a budget adjustment for the American Rescue Plan Act. Question? Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Mr. Angina.
Mr. Chairman, we're asking for the board's consideration for approval of a part-time emergency management coordinator's position description so we can begin the recruitment process for that position. The board in your fiscal 22 budget approved $26,000, which is a half-time position. It is noted throughout the after-action report, which we've reviewed, and I've talked to the state about, that the county does need somebody to work in that area. I had a chance to visit the Emergency Operations Center the other night. We need some work there, and there's a heck of a lot of training that needs to take place, coordination which needs to take place, so that if the next disaster occurs in Nottaway County, we can have a well-coordinated, positive response. So we've developed a position description. It's based upon a part-time position in another county, and we've included that in your board packet along with 3 proposed motions for approval, for telling us to do it over again, or to provide your own motion as a board.
Okay.
I move that the Board of Supervisors of Nottaway can approve the proposed position description for a part-time emergency management coordinator as presented in the June 17, 2021 board packet, and begin the recruitment process for this position.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we give our interim county administrator the ability to hire a part-time emergency management coordinator. Question?
Mr. Chairman, have we made a mistake of thinking we're gonna need a part-time and we need a full-time?
The after-action report and the supposedly to be released report this evening on fire EMS said full-time.
Mr. Bowen, there's another consideration as well. The room that he described is not large enough.
Right.
You're bumping into each other. So there are many things. We need to have a workshop on the after-action and also the fire department.
I'm just saying, it's obvious that we probably waited too late to take action. And, Mr. Chairman, this rudeness, I gotta, you know, I can't stand it, but anyway, let's move on. But anyway, so we gotta stop the bleeding. You know, I just don't know, we dipping our toe in the water. Should we go on and just take the dive? You know, that's what I'm,
So
and
you
go
want
ahead and get a full-time.
A full-time?
And Steve, I know we had talked about this before, and I know we had all had agreed that, you know, we would start full, part-time, and with very possibly, I think we're all ready to springboard to a full-time. I agree with you. You know, I think it's inevitable.
Right.
But just,
I will change my motion to a full-time emergency management.
and I would let my second
coordinator.
stand.
Well, see, we haven't, how much money would you put in for that? We put $26,000 in for the part-time.
We'll need probably to upgrade.
That's what we need to, how much would a full-time?
for
Could we get a
education,
full-time for?
educational background.
And it's not in the budget?
Probably,
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to go into capital outlay or either, general fund.
You see what
I
I'm
was gonna
saying?
begin the recruitment, but not hire.
Steve, you're right. Everybody, we all agree with you.
No, I hear you about the budget, but, you know, we can,
I think we can
we made budget adjustments before.
do that.
Anyway, what do you think?
I might note to the board that this position description is really for a part-timer. We'll need to upgrade it for a full-timer if that's the board's intent.
Well, let me ask you this, and obviously, the one we hire for part-time would have the qualifications and they can move up to full-time. If he has that availability, if he or she has that availability.
Do you want to hold off on it until
Well,
after the
Mr.
fire report?
Anzavino, what do you think about it, Mr. Anzavino?
Well, I think the work is there. First of all, we know what's in the fire services study.
Yeah.
And that's going to require a whole lot of attention, as well as the after-action report, which talks about, you know, updating and improving the Emergency Operations Center, training, coordination, and, you know, I just know from, you know, sitting in the administrator's chair, all of the emails and correspondence I get in conjunction with emergency services and emergency operations. This is a job which needs to be filled. And I think that it would be better for the county to have a full-time position.
Yeah.
But we do need to upgrade the job description a little bit if we're gonna have a full-time position. So we can bring this back to you at your next work session and get it going in July.
Well, I will take my motion off the floor for us to do that.
John, will you take your second?
Yes, sir, I'll remove the second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not,
Everyone?
yeah, because,
Fine with that?
yeah, because it's just the advertisement, so, yeah.
All right, we'll do that. Dispatchers, Sheriff?
Good evening, Sheriff.
Evening.
Hey, Sheriff.
First of all, I come before you with another, I got one more request before I start my presentation. I'm gonna go ahead and give that to you, and I'll read the letter to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Sheriff.
All right, the letter states, Dear Board of Supervisors, our current fiscal year has been a busy one. The adding of 2 school resource officers and 2 additional deputies in our budget dwindled down a little faster than normal. We have allotted those funds changes in our FY '22 and '21 budget. Usually we obligate a gas purchase at the end of the fiscal year using budget, year-end budget funds. However, we will not be able to do that this year. In an attempt to be frugal, our office plans to issue a gas purchase order in the amount of $30,000 from leftover funds in our law enforcement salary line. Basically, I'm just gonna be moving $30,000 to get a purchase order. We all know how fuel has been going this year. I mean, one day it could be $3 a gallon, next day it could be $5 a gallon. 4 extra cars on the road, patrolling, school resource, and the 2 24/7, we're using more fuel. This is just a little safety cushion. We budgeted in for that, but I would like to go ahead and have this little extra budget, a little extra safety cushion.
And they're from his leftover funds.
Does he need a motion for that, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Being I'm moving it from the salary line
Yes.
to the purchase order.
I move that Sheriff Jones get to move $30,000 from the leftover funds into the law enforcement salary line.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we give the sheriff permission to move $30,000 from his leftover fund to his law enforcement.
Well, from the law enforcement salary line
Salary line.
Salary line, right.
to this purchase order.
Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you. Now, the second thing we was gonna talk about was my dispatchers. Last month, I brought it to the board's attention what's been transpiring in the dispatch center, reference the revolving door of hiring, training, and losing staff, and that I would like to implement a structured pay scale. Tonight, I have with me two of my staff, Administrative Operations Manager Michelle Graham, and my Director of Emergency Communications, Jackie Hampton. Both these ladies have done a tremendous job in getting me the numbers and statistics reference the revolving door of personnel and dispatch center call volume that you have in the packet before you tonight. Ms. Graham, at this time, will step forward and speak to you about the packet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You should have received two packets from us. One is a 4-pager. That's what I'm going to be going over with you tonight. The other one is just to look at your convenience. The first page on the 4-page packet references our employment history. You can see that we've hired 58 dispatchers since 2007, and of those 58, 47 were single when they were hired with us. 10 of those 58 had children when they were hired. However, 9 of those had insurance elsewhere, whether that be government assistance or through a spouse. There were also 6 employees hired that had kids while employed with us and left shortly thereafter. This just goes to show that the dispatch salary is not enough to support a family, especially when it comes to insurance. Another thing that the employment history pointed out to us is that our normal turnover rate was usually 2 to 3 dispatchers a year up until 2018. Starting in 2018, we lost 6 dispatchers. We lost 6 more in 2019, 5 more in 2020, and so far this year, we have lost 4 dispatchers. 1 just yesterday and 1 at the beginning of June. 2018 stands out to me because that's when we took over Blackstone Dispatch. The dispatchers received a $500 supplement for taking that call volume over. Our call volume jumped from 16,000 to over 19,000. Since 2018, we've lost 21 of our dispatchers. Half were not suited to do the job, and just under half left for better pay, hours, or both. We almost never have a person apply for dispatch that is certified. This tells me that 1, our salary is not appealing to those that can do the job, and 2, those that do get hired are not likely to stay with us. Moving on to the second page, you will see our salary comparison. The chart should be green is the starting salary, the blue column will be salary after certifications, and yellow will show call volume for different counties. As you can see, there is a variety of salaries in front of you. We sit side by side with Prince Edward County, who has way less call volume than we do. Amelia also has less call volume, but they have more salary than we do. Call volume should not be the only factor when considering pay increases for dispatchers, but it is a good start. On the third page is our suggested advancement pay scale. We are suggesting for an uncertified individual to start out at $28,994. This would be the compensation board salary with the $1,500 in Blackstone supplements. We are requesting to increase our DCJS certification from $1,000 to $2,500 and the EMD certification from $1,500 to $3,000. These are 2 of the main certifications a dispatcher requires and usually obtains those within a year of hire. This would put their salary at $34,494. We are also suggesting that on the 2-year anniversary of the dispatcher's hire, that they receive a $1,500 supplement upon a positive performance review, and then $500 every 2 years after that with a positive performance review. We believe this will, 1, put the salary more in line with the work that is done in our office, 2, entice certified individuals to apply, and 3, help us retain our trained and certified dispatchers. Additionally, our office would like the flexibility to hire someone with experience at a salary that reflects that experience instead of the starting salary for an untrained dispatcher. This would mean we may request more in salaries than we actually use each year. depending on the experience level of those hired and employed with us, and that the county could see funds returned each year. The cost to implement this would be approximately $33,000, with the cost to the county around $25,000. Our office intends to use compensation board funds from turnover whenever possible to reimburse the county. I would also like to point out that not being able to keep our dispatch office fully staffed presents a liability issue to the safety and welfare of the citizens and first responders. Just in the last year, we have seen 911 calls go unanswered because only one dispatcher was on shift. Luckily, that dispatcher was able to get the information from the first caller and get the units dispatched. But could you imagine if multiple incidents were occurring, what would happen? Our Emergency Communications Director, Jackie Hampton, put together the additional packet given to you all to look at your convenience. This will show you in-depth details of the inner workings of the Communication Center as well as other possible liability concerns. Which brings me to my final point. In the near future, it would be wise to consider having 13 full-time communications officers for Nottaway County, as well as a third fully functioning terminal in the dispatch office. This would help ensure that at least 2 dispatchers are on duty at all times, especially when you factor in call-outs due to sickness, vacation, and holidays. And also referenced in the report that you probably have not had a chance to look over, the fire and EMS study also suggests that 2 dispatchers be on shift at all times. That is difficult to do with only 10 full-time dispatchers. These 10 full-time positions would need to be fully trained individuals at all times to have the coverage needed, which presents a problem when turnover comes into play. 1, because when we have turnover, there will be at least 1 vacant position while we go through the hiring process. And 2, because we rarely receive certified applicants, resulting in untrained hires that take months to train. The study also refers to the on-call system. We already implement an on-call system, but it does not work to its full potential unless we are fully staffed with at least 10 trained dispatchers. When we are not fully staffed, it can result in only 1 dispatcher being on shift when there are call-outs. And though we are not asking for these things right now, we want to be sure you all know that this should be considered in the near future rather than later. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. If you have any questions, myself, Jackie Hampton, or Sheriff Jones will be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. In closing, we all have just seen the Virginia Fire Services Board report. Everybody probably like me just getting it, if you haven't seen it. From what I've read so far, the report bolsters and recommends what I'm asking for. To reiterate, the dispatch center is the first contact for any emergency 24/7. It needs to be fully staffed with fully trained personnel at all times. This request is the first step in that direction. So let's move forward. Nottaway County, my motto, we train heroes. I just want to say, Nottaway County, we retain our heroes.
Thank you, Sheriff Jones.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, I was cheating there a little bit while Ms. Graham was talking. This is the first time we've seen this report, by the way. And that what they're talking about is on page 14 of 29 to 15 of 29, about those dispatchers, too, on a shift. Ms. Graham is also not shy about, when election day was out here, she was talking about health insurance and this very subject. And she would bend in my ear then, that was a couple of years back. So anyway, it's something we, and the number I'm hearing is $33,614. Is that right?
33, yes.
That's how I figure.
The pay scale is based on a low and high end, based off of if we hire somebody with experience or not. Of course, we wouldn't start somebody without experience at the higher range, so the highest amount would be 33.
33 what?
6.
See, we may be spending that kind of money about retraining. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Right, okay.
We are.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, at this point, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the sheriff's request.
Could we wait until after we do the fire report and the action report? It has to be done. We know it has to be done, but this is also included in the fire report. Dispatches.
Mr. Vaughn, you think his train's going too fast, don't you? I can see it in you.
Well, and if
John loves to spend money.
well, if I
I know we're going to do it. We have to do it. We don't have any choice.
how soon are we gonna have this meeting? Because if I understand it, y'all need help now.
We're 4 down. We have 2 untrained and 2 that are out the door.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go ahead and make the motion to approve the sheriff's request of $33,600.
I'll second for discussion, so I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the sheriff's request for dispatchers. Question. Now it's time.
If I might say something, you know, I reviewed the data that the staff has put together over at the Sheriff's Department. It's pretty compelling, but you have multiple problems here. And the important thing is to try to retain the staff that you have and hire good staff and keep them. And that's one problem, and that's an immediate problem. The second problem is improvement in the dispatchers or communications office. That's hiring additional people, upgrading equipment, and working a little bit differently maybe in emergency services. That's a whole separate range of problems that you haven't even had a chance to discuss and address yet. You know, the fire study got out because the fire board adopted it and it got put on the website. And somebody found it there and got a copy of it, and next thing we knew it was in the newspaper. It's unfair to this board that the Fire Services Board didn't brief you first.
That's right.
Because there's a lot more to be said in that Fire Services and EMS report than I think what is committed to paper. And I know that from talking to the chair of the Fire Services Board. So you got 2 problems here. You've got the immediate problem, which we're talking about tonight, and then you've got a longer range problem that I would suggest that you not do anything with or even think about until you hear from the Fire Services Board and you have the after action report.
But you're talking about the second issue, not doing anything with it this time?
Right.
Okay.
So and what I'm hearing is what Mr. Rourke's motion on the floor there, he's trying to figure out a way to retention, right? That's what you're trying to. And then that's the first part of the problem.
That's right.
And then the next part of the problem is expanding the recruitment, which is what everybody's going through right now. But I'm hearing that the dispatcher is the tunnel where when I dial 911, I need somebody to answer that telephone.
Exactly.
Well,
and it won't get to the chief if nobody answers that phone.
That's right.
No one is saying not to do it. What we're saying is we need to have the big picture before we do anything.
Well,
That's
this
what
has
I'm
been a
saying.
problem with this type of thing anyway, going on for the past few years. We know we got this problem. Again, the fire study is coming, and it might recommend more changes. But as far as the salary and getting these dispatchers compensated, that probably needs to be done now.
So that's where the 33,000
Yes,
comes
ma'am.
in there.
Changing the salary, upping the salary for the dispatcher, so we can get some competent people in the door, or get some people to stay in the door.
I will only say one more thing. We have our sheriff standing before us asking for help, and I'm not going to turn him down.
Doug, could you repeat your motion for me?
I stated that I'd like to approve the sheriff's request as he has prepared for $33,600 to be allocated as he so deemed.
And that would be effective July 1st?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think
We would have to, because that's not included in the budget.
it's money there in that budget.
I know,
pull it
what
out
I'm
of the
saying is it's just
capital
not
outlay.
included in it, but I would go along with it. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
The sheriff and I have talked about, savings in his budget if possible during the course of the year to try to absorb this a little bit. And Katie and I have been exploring the budget, trying to find some funds. This is not something that I would typically put on the table for the board because it's at the end of the fiscal year. should have been considered as part of the budget process, but there's a rational reason for it not being considered as part of the budget process, which is stated in the memorandum. So, you know, the public safety, the communications officers, as I tend to call them, are the fulcrum for public safety when you call in, and they're highly trained. You know, if you've got an individual who is on the other end of the line in hysterics because they have a family member who is hurting very badly and maybe near death, they're trying to talk through it, and they're also providing emergency medical advice, which is something which I wish we would have had a number of years ago when I was in local government, because we just didn't have that capability. So they are highly trained, but you've turned over 58, and it was an average of 4 per year. And you've got a complement of 10, or what's your complement over there? We're 10. At 10. So you've got a 40% turnover rate. And a turnover rate typically is considered to be in the 5 to 7% range for an organization. This is about 5, 6, 7 times greater than what you're seeing in most organizations. So, you know, I would just throw that in. I certainly want the board to consider those items as you move forward in making a decision.
Well, we did just save $65,000.
And let me say this too, Mr. Chairman, and Sheriff, and these dispatchers, and I really appreciate. There's some people who like to watch. They like to fret me because people don't like me, and I understand that, and they like to watch this thing, But they listen to scanners, and they criticize some other counties. But these same people tell me that Nottaway County's dispatchers are very professional, and that's not true everywhere, y'all.
That's true.
And these people, so anyway, we got a good group. Let's keep them, Sherman.
Well, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Second.
Question.
Okay.
Call the questions. Let's go.
Where's the money coming from?
We have the money.
Chairman.
We can move the
I
money.
would amend my motion to allow the county administrator and
Don't back off. Well, he's talking.
Let me tell you, John, let me tell you where this money's gonna come from.
taxpayer.
Katie, did you just tell us we're gonna save about $60-some thousand?
That's what he just said.
That's what he just said.
Let it be Sherman's idea.
Well, if that's the case,
Yeah, share that with
I'm
us.
clearing the motion.
Okay.
We'll get the money from the savings. Is that okay with you?
Yes,
Sir.
All right. Steve, you okay with that?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to go.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this request for that amount of money. What is it, 30-something?
$33,600.
$33,614.
Whatever that amount
$33,600.
is.
Okay.
I got it down to a science.
Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed?
All right.
I'm not opposing. You thought I was going to oppose, didn't you? I just told you where the money was coming from. Okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Okay, the county vehicle.
Yes, sir. Our building official has a 2017 Jeep Compass assigned to him. It's been out of service since I arrived, and it has we're still awaiting parts for the repair from the dealer. Apparently, this is a national problem with this type of vehicle, and it has 101,000 miles on it. There are 1,300 repairs of this type backed up nationally, waiting for the equipment. Since he needs to get into some very hard-to-reach areas, he's using his all-wheel drive vehicle, and we're compensating him on a federal rate basis, which is 56 cents per mile. We've recommended, and I would note, and Katie has the figures on this, I don't have the figures, but you are aware that under state code, the building official or the building permits that are paid for by whoever's building something go into a fund, and that is supposed to even out with the expenditures of that department. Well, we've got a real building boom here in Nottaway County, so we are over in collections as opposed to what our expenditures are. And the same is true for erosion and sediment control. So a state contract vehicle, a Ford F-150, is $31,104 with the equipment that were required. It's all-wheel drive vehicle. We are recommending that the board authorize the purchase of that and dedicate those excess revenues from the fees collected over the budget for payment of that. In addition, we would recommend that the compass be retained and repaired. We use that initially for the part-time or full-time EMS coordinator until we can budget in the process logically for a new vehicle and equipment for that individual. So we have 3 motions included in the board packet on page 104 for your consideration.
Okay, we need a motion.
Move to purchase a new Ford F-150 Ford pickup under state contract for use for building official utilizing funds identified by the county finance director. How much is it, Katie?
$31,104.
Yeah, the cost of the vehicle was the 31,000, but we have the revenue to offset that.
Okay.
Do I get a
Second.
second? Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we give the county administrator the ability to purchase the county vehicle, which is a Ford F-150, at a cost of $31,000. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it. We'll now have a discussion on the audit, a forensic audit at Crossroads. Ms. Simmons, will you give us that report, please?
Mr. Anzavino, you'll start.
You want to go?
Okay. Included in the board's package is another memorandum for me concerning Crossroads Community Services Board, which you all are familiar with. There has been a change in leadership there. The former director was discharged about a month ago, and there have been, within the community, there have been numerous allegations about misappropriation of funds, lack of oversight within the agency, and the Community Services Board is now, I believe, beginning recruitment for a new executive director.
Yes.
Well, Prince Edward and Cumberland counties in particular have great concerns about what has happened in the Crossroads organization. And Ms. Simmons and I have had numerous conversations, as she is the board's representative, one of the board's representatives to Crossroads. And it was raised by Prince Edward County and their county administrator with their board that a forensics audit would be a good idea to determine if any of the allegations are true, first of all, and secondly, to clear the decks for the new director coming in to know what they really need to work on to improve. I am aware that Prince Edward, Cumberland, and Charlotte counties have adopted resolutions calling for the forensics audit. Nottaway is considering yours tonight. I am unaware of the status of Amelia and Lunenburg. Ms. Simmons may have more information on that.
Amelia and Lunenburg has not adopted yet.
Okay.
But the other counties have, and we're considering it tonight. There's been one of the big issues was a PPP loan for $2.5 million. And there's some questions about where those funds are and how they were used. And they were supposed to be used for specific reasons for payroll. But the breakdown leaves it at a balance of $1,000, exactly $1,000 from $2.5 million, which doesn't exactly add up. So the forensic audit would give a clear picture for the new director coming in. And there's been some more problems there also.
And the resolution calls for Crossroads to pay for this because apparently they probably have the money to do it, according to the folks that I've spoken to. But I think it would be good practice to consider the resolution. This is a vital service for a very needy group of citizens.
That's right.
And
4 of the 7 counties have already.
Right. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the chairman of the Prince Edward Board of Supervisors, David Emmerich, he contacted me and he said, Steve, we got problems here. We really need to get this. We need to get somebody to look at this. He did mention, and he said, Ms. Simmons, you do an excellent job on that board, and they're very thankful to have you on that board. And then the county administrator in Cumberland also said we got problems. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna leave it to Helen because she's on that board, but I will second her motion, whatever if she wants to adopt.
I'm gonna read the resolution.
Okay.
A resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Nottaway, Virginia, requests to Crossroad Community Service Board to conduct a forensic audit of its finances, whereas Crossroads Community Service Board, CSB, is the primary provider of mental health, intellectual disability, substance abuse, and housing services for residents of Amelia, Buckingham, Charlotte, Cumberland, Lunenburg, Nottaway, and Nottaway counties, and their respective residents. And whereas the Crossroads CSB has over 230 full-time and 50 part-time employees, 3,058 clients, and has a fiscal year 2021 total budget of $15,486,594. And whereas there has been a number of concerns raised by Crossroads board members, members of the various boards of supervisors, current and former staff members of Crossroads CSB, and members of the general public regarding the budgeting and allocation of public funds and other management issues at Crossroads CSB. And whereas the Crossroads CSB Board of Directors at a special call meeting on May 5th, 2021, removed its director, Dr. Susan Baker, after 6 years in the director position. And whereas Nottaway County has been asked to commit $42,000 in the proposed fiscal year 2021 to 2022 budget as a local match to 9010 funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia for the provision of services in Nottaway County. And whereas the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors is greatly appreciative of the services provided by the Crossroads CSB and the support of its staff on behalf of Nottaway citizens. And whereas the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors is one of the 7 governing bodies described in 37.2-504 of the Code of Virginia, must ensure the fiscal accountability of public funds. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Nottaway, Virginia, does hereby request that the Crossroads Board of Directors conduct a thorough, external, independent forensic audit of its records for budget year, fiscal year 2019, fiscal year 2020, and fiscal year 2021. And being further resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Nottaway, Virginia, does hereby state its intent to withhold funding from the Crossroads Community Service Board until such forensic audit is authorized by the Crossroads Community Service Board of Directors.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I think whoever makes that motion probably should note that it should say Lunenburg, Prince Edward, and Nottaway counties.
Yeah.
And Lunenburg is spelled
wrong.
Incorrect.
Yeah. But to make the
At the whereas, at the first whereas.
In the first paragraph?
In the first paragraph,
Because it says Nottaway and Nottaway counties, but it should say Prince Edward and Nottaway counties.
Helen, you meant that?
I'm putting that in the form of a motion to adopt this resolution.
I'll second with that amendment of this correct spelling in Prince Edward.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the resolution.
With the corrections.
For forensic.
Audit.
Those in favor, let it be, question. Those in favor, let it be known by usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Suggested, said it?
Yeah, I said thank you.
The date to change.
Yes, sir. We received notification that VACO is having their first public event, in-person event, the same date as the August 19th board meeting, and it is scheduled all day long in Richmond. And several of the board members or committee members on VACO or the past president of VACO. And with that in mind, the board has a meeting that evening. It may be difficult for the 3 board members to return and leaving a lack of a quorum, so you may want to consider a different date.
Before, we've done this before, Mr. Chairman. We've moved it, and usually we go a week after, which would be the 26th, if possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
We need that on a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
That would be August the 20 what?
6.
26.
August the 26th. Okay, will you notify the board? You mean
Yes.
the press?
Yes, and that should be in the form of a motion.
Okay.
All right.
I was going to do that.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'll make a motion that we move the August 19th meeting at 7 o'clock in this courthouse to August 26th at 7 o'clock again in this room as well.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we move the August meeting date from the 19th to the 26th. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it.
The president this year, he says he likes to be known as the VACO president of Steve Owen brought COVID in and he's taking it out. Which is very hurtful.
I believe he's right.
He's
Mr.
very
Brown.
right. He's right.
Okay, Mr. Anzino, the appointments.
Yes, sir. And this doesn't require immediate attention, but it could be, you could make a decision in July. But we have several appointments coming up. We wanted to let the board be thinking about this. Planning Commission, Mr. Gunn and Jack Leslie, their terms expire August 26th August 16th of 2021. And the Industrial Development Authority also has August and September appointments coming up. So we will include that on the board's agenda for July, but you need to be thinking about those and finding some folks to serve.
And Mr. Anzavino, will you put also on there about the library board?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I
To include
apologize
that.
for forgetting that.
This will be done at the August meeting?
Yes, sir.
July.
July meeting.
July meeting.
Okay, it's the July meeting, okay.
So these people can
Look at your districts, because these people
I
are
have
from
one.
your particular districts.
But these
I
people.
know Gunn, Mr.
You have
Gunn,
one.
Mr. Leslie, I believe is.
Skip. Wilkerson's mine.
Okay.
I don't have anyone on that particular committee.
He's in Blackstone.
Okay, and Dennis McCarthy, Blackstone. William Gunn, Blackstone. Jack Leslie.
Okay.
Bill.
We need to set a date for the fire report and the after action report. We need a workshop.
There are 2 separate dates because we received it today.
Let's see.
We don't have any dates in June, so it'll have to be in
Yeah,
July.
June is full. Well, July, what's good for y'all?
Do it on the 4th. No, I'm just kidding.
That's Sunday.
Be here by yourself.
Yeah. July the 6th, that'll be that Tuesday. Is that good?
July the 5th, what?
6th,
July the 6th, okay.
Tuesday, or the 5th? I mean, I don't have nothing for him right now.
Chairman, I would note, and you don't need me there, but I'm on my way back from South Dakota.
That's
When
right,
do you
you
get back?
vacation.
I'll tell you what, I would want you there.
Yeah, we'll wait for you to get
Okay,
there.
So let's do it after he gets back. When are you coming back?
well,
If he's coming.
yeah.
You are coming back, aren't you?
Well, this is a family thing.
Yeah, really, right.
So we're gonna have the whole family in an RV for like 2 weeks.
Be
It's
ready.
gonna be
He might come back soon, is what he's saying. He
might
just ain't
call
saying
us.
it.
You know, the best date would be July 12th through that week, July 12th through the 15th.
That'll be fine.
Okay, July 12th?
Or 13th?
Planning Commission is 13th.
What day is that? What day?
15th, we have a board meeting.
Right.
What day
15th.
is that on?
So I'll do the 12th and Monday. Monday.
Monday.
Monday.
Okay,
Monday's
that'll be
fine with
good.
me.
It'll be a full week.
July 12th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that's what time?
6:30.
6:30. Okay.
Can you do it a little sooner? Let me tell you why. You're doing 2 reports. And that fire report is gonna take up quite some time. And the after action, which is the emergency services.
5:30.
What about 5:30?
Okay.
Ben, can you make that?
Yes, sir.
Steve?
Yes, sir.
What about 5:30?
That's
Okay,
fine.
5:30. Okay, now we have the consent calendar. Need a motion to approve that.
Move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Need a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent calendar. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Information items, could you do that, please?
Very quickly, Mr. Chairman, under correspondence, we've received notification that tomorrow we will receive a grant award package from the Department of Criminal Justice Services for a SRO grant for the Sheriff's Department. And also we've received a PSAP grant award for training for $3,000. Under information items, the Commonwealth Regional Council, we have an alternate vacancy for that, which the board will need to appoint. The comprehensive plan update is included as information, and they are moving forward with that now. There's also information included from Piedmont Habitat, the court services minutes, Piedmont Regional Jail Board update, and the updated Cox Road survey. And we will be having a meeting, the chairman and I will be meeting on that on the 24th of June with Mr. Van Orbeek at Town Hall.
What time is that?
6:30.
6:30, okay. Okay. We need an update from you.
Well, I don't know what else I can say. Now, there are several things included in my report which I've forwarded to you.
Right.
One was Cox Road, which I've just touched on. I attended along with Mr. Rourke, Piedmont Regional Jail meeting by Zoom yesterday, and of course the Planning Commission, which I've touched on. I do want to note to the board, though, that we've had a parvo outbreak at the animal control facility. We picked up a dog, and it was last Friday, so we went into isolation. We can't house any more dogs or cats in the facility for a couple weeks, and we are housing animals that have been picked up where we can in adjoining counties' facilities. I know a hot topic here has been courthouse complex repairs. The fire alarm systems are now all up to date. The fire marshal has been out a couple times. We're going to do a test on them for the courts, and they're signing off as they go on a number of the different buildings. So the fire alarm system is fixed. The storage buildings out to the rear of the administration office, those roof replacements, fascia board replacements are underway. We did run into a surprise where we had to add some plywood for the roof base because it was rotted out when they stripped the roof off, but that is being repaired and is close to completion. Dean has found we have a rotting wood column and some trim. I believe it's on the General District Court Clerk's office. We found a local person, a crafts person who is a good woodworker who can repair that, not repair, but replace that column, and that's underway. We also have one quote in on railing, replacement of all the railings. And when we get the second quote in and we see what that looks like, I think we're going to be coming back to the board because it's going to be a significant expense on railings. And then finally, we'll revamp the painting bid RFP when when we're sure that we're going to have all of that work, which needs to be done prior to painting, underway or near completion. The board had previously been approached about purchasing a landfill billing system for waste coming out. This will save, we calculated this will save a full month's of Logan's time in the office, and she's taking on more responsibilities as the coordinator for personnel. The initial cost will be $13,120. It's from one of 3 firms who we sought proposals from, and it is one that the board, I believe, is blessed. IT maintenance contractor. I had previously talked to the board about floating the idea of joining with 2 of the towns with hiring a IT person. We have some immediate challenges with the county. We have some serious security issues that need to be addressed. We don't have an inventory of equipment. We don't have any way of checking the health of the different workstations that we have. So we've worked, Katie and I have worked on proposals and solicited proposals under the small purchase ordinance. And we are meeting next Tuesday to finalize an agreement with Code Blue, which is the same firm which services Blackstone and has a good track record. Attached to this memorandum is a consultant RFP, an on-call consultant RFP that the Commonwealth Regional Council has developed. They're out soliciting proposals from engineers and architects now. That will allow the local governments within the service area of the Commonwealth Regional Council just to call up and hire somebody that's already been vetted, so you don't have to go out for RFPs, and it's a competitive process, and it's done throughout the state. The fiscal year 21 audit, I just wanted to let the board know that we'll be executing an agreement with Robinson, Farmer, and Cox to continue 1 year more. We need to go out for proposals on that, but we are at year end now, and sending a proposal out and getting an auditor on board and closing out and then entering a new year would be very complicated. So we'll begin that process in July. Let the board know that the convenience centers will be closed on July 4th, and that will be duly posted, and they'll reopen on Monday, July 5th. And then the animal control facility. I've been working on that with Supervisor Bowen and Lynn, and we've gone over the plans. I've contacted the architects, I've contacted the state, and we'll be ready for a meeting soon. We also have the covenants for the property, which we need to discuss because they're pretty tight. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll now have comments from the board. I'll start with, John, I'll start with you. You're the long-winded one, so. It's between you and Steve.
Leave John alone.
Well, you got the wrong people on the bookends here, because he's going to say it's going to start like that and then like that. Honestly, I have nothing. I just want to share with the board that I managed to have a wonderful opportunity during my time away to be with my wife on my anniversary last weekend. And
which one was this, John?
Do you know
you know how long she's been putting up with you?
Are you suicidal?
I thought he was talking about which wife.
Yes. So anyway, we decided to, my wife decided to take on this thing. And the reason why I'm saying this is nobody needs to know about my anniversary, but my wife working for Central Hospital was given some paperwork about their hospice that's located in Bedford County. And they do end-of-life care at no cost. Nobody's ever refused. So, and they hosted a fishing tournament, and so we joined that, and it's a wonderful thing, and they do it once a year, and even though it's not in Nottaway, it's open to anybody to go do that, and it's just one of those things where you have the opportunity to do that. But even beyond that, being with my wife, it was a wonderful experience to be at Smith Mountain Lake. And of all things, my wife goes in there, and there's 33 teams. And she places second in the panfish category.
Interesting.
Thank you, John. Ellen?
No, nothing.
Ben?
Nothing.
Steve?
My marriage is not that exciting.
Danny, you suicidal?
Okay, I don't,
We have one more thing I threw.
okay, our county administrator has one more thing, and I don't have any comments. Go right on.
I forgot to add that you should be aware that other counties in the planning district are considering adding a cigarette tax and are talking about joining on to the cigarette tax board. And I just want to put that on the table for the board to be thinking about as a new revenue source. Kind of unusual for Southside Virginia and tobacco country. It would never have flown when I was in Amelia County, but it is something which is happening now. So.
Okay.
Yeah, they go by the number of cigarettes you sell and all that kind of thing, but they estimate for Nottaway could be $100,000.
Okay. I have a statement I need to make.
Oh, Lord.
Pertaining to the interviews for the position of the county administrator. In accordance with section 2.2-3712, paragraph B of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act pertaining to closed meeting procedures and certification of proceedings, the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors will hold closed meetings solely for the purpose of conducting interviews for the position of county administrator at an undisclosed location within 15 days of this evening's meeting. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Just remember you have the
Right.
RDA. I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Steve, as long as this was, it only went 2 hours and 5 minutes.
You saying I got the record?
You got the record.
He's trying to say it'll never be broken.
I don't know. We'll talk about it.
I second that motion to adjourn.
The meeting is adjourned.
All right, what do we got to do here to get this next one going?
Just call the RDA. Katie, do you have the packages?
What are we going to talk? She's going to bring us
John,
over.
I just wanted to know how long she's been putting up with it.
All right, see you, Scott.
Over 20 years.
That's a long time.
It is. Put up with me.
So,
She's a blessing, I tell you.
Okay, we're going to.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be with you tonight. Those I didn't get a chance to introduce myself to, Cynthia Hudson with infamous Sands Anderson.
right, something good seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I went to an event where you spoke somewhere before. I can't remember where it was at. Yeah, but anyway, you did a really good job. Finally, glad to meet you. So.
Okay. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Okay.
If you want to follow up at all on the commentary about the polling with respect to the emergency,
Right.
if you've not taken a vote to open the meeting to ratify whatever it is you decided by
So we could ratify it.
single member poll, you need to do that sometime.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You should have told us earlier. I'd done it tonight.
I had to like to give legal advice in the open. So.
Okay, are you doing this now?
Yes, sir. This will take a couple minutes.
You can do it.
And John's here.
Just as good. And,
John Hill is here.
Supervisor Shackleton,
Yeah.
Vivian let me know that, you and I might be working on a revision of personnel policy name, that I should contact you. I talked with Mr. Prozac about it, weeks ago, and he told me to contact you directly, and I knew you all had a lot of.
This was from an earlier discussion.